Oscar Piastri was running to his debrief, and I grabbed him and brought him to the sky pad. You haven't seen your lap yet. Let's talk about it, because you've done 2 laps good enough for pole position today. Fantastic effort. Talk to me about the first couple of corners, because it's super there on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Is that what you expected? Do you expect the car to snap out at that point?
Ideally not, but to be honest, I was losing about 1/10 to 2/10 every. To be honest, I think also in turn 6 I was carrying a bit too much speed most of the session. Just about made the apex, missed it a little bit, but I think I carried so much speed on the brakes that I made up for it. And then the big key was I was able to hook it up on the exit as well.
And the last corner now.
Thank you. Thanks, Lando.
We're back to Shanghai, where Oscar Piastri has got his first pole in Formula One ahead of a Grand Prix tomorrow. And we are delighted to say we're joined by his boss now, Zak Brown. He called that the hairpin of his life. The car really came alive for him, found so much pace in Q3. You must be delighted.
Yeah, it's awesome to have Oscar get his first pole. He's been so close, a lot of front rows.
So at this point, I'm actually about 2/10 down on my first attempt into Q3.
And we heard you say you did the hairpin of your life. Now talk us through it, because we're at the 150 meter board.
Yeah.
You're looking at your dashboard. It says you're 2/10 down.
Yeah.
What do you try and do?
Quite simply, just send it. I think I just braked much later. Just about made the apex, missed it a little bit, but I think I carried so much speed on the brakes that I made up for it. And then the big key was I was able to.
Look, the car's quick. We know the car is quick.
Yeah.
Yesterday was tricky.
Yes.
Didn't get everything out of it yesterday. Today, got a bit more out of it, but still not right at the front. So what do you do?
Yeah.
How do you approach this race tomorrow? Oscar's in P1. How do you approach it? Do you try and get up there at turn 1? How do you play it?
We definitely made some improvements comparing to yesterday and earlier. The race is a difficult one to know how much better we're going to be tomorrow, but we think we moved things in the right direction, and I definitely felt more comfortable out there. I was delivering almost every lap I did, bar probably the last one. So, I think we're in a better position. I feel more comfortable. Just made a couple of mistakes on my final lap and didn't manage to put it together, and Oscar did, and he got his first pole. So, a good job by him, and a congrats to him. But like you said, the car is good. The car's quick, not easy, but that's the price you pay sometimes. And I think as long as we keep things clean and we don't squabble too hard, then I think we can have a good race. But we saw how tricky it was, not just from driving the car, but from a degradation point of view, looking after the front tyres, knowing when to push, how much to push, all those things. So a lot of question marks that we won't know until we start driving tomorrow.
Where's your advantage over Mercedes? If you're going to beat George tomorrow, is your advantage off the line? Is your advantage time management?
To say. The thing is, the time management here is not like normal time management. It's really front tires and it's graining. It's not just kind of temperature and So it's very different to say last weekend, where it was just kind of managing the inters and the temperatures. This is more just how much you can save the front tires, and this is where Mercedes in the past have been very, very strong. So in Las Vegas, for instance, they could look after the front tires very well. So I think this is one of their strengths, and that's probably why they were quite quick today. But we have our strengths and weaknesses. We suffer with certain things.
Back to Shanghai, where Oscar Piastri has got his first pole in Formula One ahead of a Grand Prix tomorrow. And we are delighted to say we're joined by his boss now, Zak Brown. He called that the hairpin of his life. The car really came alive for him, found so much pace in Q3. You must be delighted.
Yeah, it's awesome to have Oscar get his first pole. He's been so close, a lot of front rows, and that was a mega lap. Only he and George, I think, improved the second sector. I think the wind direction changed. So, it was an awesome third sector.
And how important is it for him to get this after the disappointment of Australia? Because that did promise a lot more for him that weekend.
I think it's great, especially, this has been a tricky weekend for us so far. We know we've had the pace. We know we have the pace in the drivers and the car, but the sprint race was great for Oscar, less so for Lando, and so we got to put together here. And I'm sure Lando's a little bit grumpy. He's not on that front row with him, but he can see him.
It was a case of shoulda, woulda, coulda yesterday, wasn't it? You guys looked like you had the pace to lock out the front row. It didn't happen. Is there a feeling of relief that today Oscar did fulfill that potential?
I think it just says what we've been saying. I know it's a short year so far, but we've been saying this is going to be a really close season, and you can see if you just miss a sector or lock a wheel, you're P6, you're P1, you're P3. So it's certainly nice to be here. Great for Oscar. Really happy for Oscar to get his first pole. And as we've been saying, I think we got a pretty killer driver lineup, and that's what we're seeing so far.
Are you surprised that it's the Mercedes that's sandwiched between your two drivers?
I mean, that was a epic lap by George. So it's great to have. I just said to Toto, great to have 3 Mercedes at the front. That was a big lap. Yeah, I mean, based on what we've seen, you kind of would have expected it to be Max or even the Ferraris. But cool to have George up there. We like George.
We didn't get to speak to you after the sprint. And can I just ask you, in your sort of pre-McLaren life, you were the master marketeer of this paddock. Wasn't it cool to see Lewis win in a Ferrari for the sport?
Very cool to see Lewis win. So if it's not one of our guys, Lewis in a Ferrari, former McLaren guy is always welcome at the McLaren family. We love racing Ferrari. So, yeah, to see Lewis win is pretty special, and he's qualified well, so he's certainly settling in quickly at Ferrari, which we expected him to.
Now, throwing it ahead to tomorrow, just how significant will that clean air be for Oscar at the front? We just saw how many of the drivers were struggling so much with their tyres this morning.
I think it's critical around here.
I want to
see what these guys were up to.
Yeah, come on. You can come.
You're always looking at the data, but
right. If you come along that side, you can have a look. There you go. You can have a look here. So we got Oscar Piastri on the left and Lando Norris on the right. So at 0.152 between the drivers at the end of the lap. Let's take a look and see where it was at, Zach. So up into the first long corners here. A lot of load on that front tyre. The driver's using slightly different lines, wasn't it? You could see here Lando just a little bit more understeer, going a bit wider. And then Oscar just winds the lock on. Bit of correction though at the second apex. Yeah. Dropping downhill, let's just play it along here and we'll see. But really, just slightly different approaches. Again, Oscar using a bit more road on the way out. But as you go over the crest of the kink at 5, get under braking, I'll use the marker board there. Just go back. And you can see Piastri just slightly in front as we get down to the braking zone for turn 6. Now here, I think Oscar, again, just